Hi.
Hi.
All right, episode 118, Joel Fleischman Happy Hour Podcast. We have Berlin Sales, women in the industry. We have Heather Wehrmann, Darcy Kropelin, and JoHanna Huenerberg.
Huenerberg.
Huenerberg, I knew I was going to screw that up. And then Joel. So welcome.
Welcome,
Thank you.
ladies.
Thank you.
What number there, Marcus?
118.
118. I love it. Thanks, ladies.
Yeah, thank you.
Just finishing up my very last task of the day, sending off a
Nice.
picture of you guys. So, welcome. We are doing the Ladies of Berlin today.
Yep.
So, pretty cool. Cheers, happy hour. I am not drinking for, I'm on a challenge from a place I work
Right
out,
there.
so I'll just do one of these. Cheers, cheers, cheers.
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 Oh, cheers.
I'm on a bulletproof diet till
Is that
Christmas.
a newer thing?
What does that
I think it's
mean?
been out for a long time.
Yeah.
Bulletproof diet means it's intermittent fasting, so you are off eating from 16 hours, you eat for 8 hours. So essentially, and the bulletproof part comes from, but in the morning you can have coffee with what they call ghee butter, which is like all natural butter or something, grass-fed. And then, so 2 scoops of the butter into your coffee, and then like a bunch of coconut oil, like a tablespoon of coconut oil. You drink that until 10 o'clock. Holds you over, and then you can eat from 10 to 6, which is basically meats and vegetables and a little bit of starch, a little bit of fruit, no booze.
I worked with a doctor that did something very similar.
He
like
did
that.
intermittent fasting. Yeah, I believe that. It's kind of like how it kind of goes back to the theory of cavemen, where cavemen didn't have 3 square meals. You know, it was more they ate when they could. So kind of how your body was developed.
Sure.
Anyways, not drinking. So welcome.
Thank you.
A little bit about. You want to do some bios with
Yeah,
me?
why don't we just go around the room, starting with Heather. Just want to say, what kind of your role is, how long you've been here at Drexel.
3 years, and I'm a quarterback, so I'm in sales and loving it.
Sweet. Darcy.
I am a quarterback right now. I'm in my 2nd year. Prior to that, I was a millwork indoor specialist, and on October 22nd, I've been here for 12 years. And I've worked at 3 locations.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And what locations?
Campbellsport to start, and then down to Brookfield, and now in Berlin.
Wow.
Sweet. JoHanna.
I have been here for 5 years, 3 years in cabinetry and 2 years in exteriors.
And currently in cabinetry sales.
Currently cabinetry
Quarterback, yeah. Awesome,
Nice.
awesome, cool. So I think I think we probably want to talk about women in the industry. That's why they're here, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So where do I want to go with that, right? So it's tough, right? I mean, it's got to be tough, or maybe it isn't tough for you guys. What's some of the advantages? What's some of the disadvantages of being a woman in the industry? And not so much for JoHanna, right? I mean, you're still in a traditional cabinetry sales role, women, right? So that's dominated by 90% women, and then traditional salesmen are 90% male, maybe 95. So just what challenges that you guys have encountered being in a very male-dominant industry, including you, JoHanna? I mean, it's still a male-dominant industry, right?
Yeah,
And you were in
for sure.
exteriors, which was very male-dominated as well.
Yeah, for sure. For challenges is that men don't believe that we know what we're talking about. I definitely get that vibe until they get to know us, like the first initial meet.
Yeah,
Then after they build that confidence in a relationship, then it's smooth sailing after that.
that
for
makes
sure.
sense.
Is it kind of like a one-shot deal? Like if you don't bring it the first time, like are they like kind of out and you really got to work to build it back up, or do they give you a fair shake of like,
Fair shake for sure. The
Yeah.
ones that I have all dealt with.
sure.
Yeah, I would say it depends on the account, too, the person that you're dealing with. I mean, I've definitely had my fair share of, I'm very fortunate. I have really, really great builders to work with, so they are understanding, and I'm honest about how long I've done it and what I do and don't know, and they accept it, so. And willing to teach, which
Yeah.
I love.
Yes.
And I don't want to stereotype that every male's the same and every woman's the same either. So it's more of general terms, right?
Right.
So obviously
Agreed.
there's extremes of all of that. How about you, JoHanna?
I would say for the most part, they are pretty accepting. I think we just have to prove our worth a little bit harder than like a guy coming into a new position. Otherwise, I think a lot of it is just learning to build the relationship, and then they learn to trust you and believe in you. So,
You know, I would say
Agreed.
even in some situations, just because I know one with you, that sometimes men might treat us nicer than they would the guys. So And I don't know if I want to say nicer, but in a different way and more respectfully. So
Definitely more respectfully, for sure. Agreed.
yeah.
Yeah, so that would be an advantage, right? We talked about the
Yeah,
disadvantages.
for sure.
That would be
That's
one of the
an
advantages
advantage.
for sure. Yeah. So what do you? Do you think there's a general? Again, women are different than men. Do you think women in our industry generally have an advantage in some way?
Oh, for sure.
In what ways?
Just more so, I have one particular builder said, I'm never going to scream at you because you're a female. And he has a different, I would say, view or respect, maybe a little bit of empathy for women being more sensitive, essentially. So I do think that that's like a big advantage to us being females in a male-dominated.
The flame's not quite as hot.
Correct, yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Definitely. You definitely feel the kindness from our builders, for sure.
For sure. I would agree with that.
That's interesting.
Very interesting.
Marcus, you have a bunch of notes.
Yeah. I guess, obviously we were just kind of talking before off air, or at least the two of you, Darcy didn't ask you, but coming from backgrounds, obviously healthcare, Alliance Laundry Systems, I guess what has been the change for you guys coming into Drexel from what you were doing previously? Obviously sales is probably a piece of that, but like just coming into the Drexel culture, what has been different about what you were doing prior?
Maybe not female related, right?
Correct.
We're just talking general.
Not female, just
Can
general.
be, doesn't have to be.
Yep, exactly.
Myself, I was in like logistics manufacturing basically all of my adulthood before coming here, and definitely a closed-minded atmosphere versus coming here. It's definitely a growth-minded atmosphere, and I believe that has pushed me personally and professionally to just keep growing as an adult, right? Like learning to be able to do some self-reflection of where you can grow and get better. And I do think that our environment really encourages that.
Sure. Darcy?
I worked at Wisconsin Building Supply.
Okay.
So I was in the industry for quite a while, since 2005. Prior to that, I bartended and drove a school bus and was a driving instructor because I had the kids at home.
Sure.
I never knew that.
A woman of many hats, if you need one to say.
So how are things from changing from coming from WBS to here?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's the reason why I came to Drexel is all the positive feedback and hear from. It was Doug Carlson that called me to come here. So and then scheduled my interview with Joel. So I got hired right on the spot. Didn't even have to fill out an application back in 2012.
Quiet, we didn't do those things back then, did we?
Edit that part out.
So let's follow up with Darcy. Is 2012 to 2025. Name two or three things, multiple things that have changed at Drexel since 2012. In 2012, which could be seen as a long time ago or not a long time ago, we had probably 100 people working here. Now we have 800. So what are the couple things that have changed that maybe people aren't aware of or just that stick out to you?
Yeah. So for sure, the first one you said it for me was just how big we've grown. For sure. I believe I was like number 124 for the team member when I got hired.
By the way, I love when people know the number. Like, I love that. That's a cool thing. That is really cool. I think I'm like 622, but that doesn't matter.
Right, yeah. Nope, that's what I was. So I remember that, like, it's embedded in my brain, like, for sure. And then also, when our first Christmas that I had here at Drexel, Joel walked around and gave everyone a $100 bill.
Yeah.
For Christmas.
And that was our bonus, right?
Yeah.
We did that for years.
Yeah,
so we did that for a few years.
Yeah, just so that was. There's a lot of people that never experienced you doing that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It is a good one. And then actually with having our Christmas parties. I remember just walking to the bar right down in town from Campbell's, from the store to the bar, just hanging out, and then doing the bowling on the lake that we did.
Okay,
we just did all just different stuff all together.
Yes, we did. We tried to.
Yeah.
And we still do, but it's
which
a
is bigger
right?
now.
But also it's a different culture. In 2012 there was more after work. Since I've been here in the early 90s till now, drinking after work was very normal. Like, we didn't have meetings. We just drank after work. We'd have a 30-pack or whatever it was. Two cases. No, it was just talk things. It was literally. My dad always said we never had any meetings. Like, he loved that. Like, our company doesn't have any meetings, which is funny now because that's all we have is meetings. But, he was really adamant about that. But looking back, we had a meeting almost half an hour to an hour before we went home to our families. And I was to my family. My dad drove me there, to work. So I just went home by my mom, and they talked more work. And But those were the best meetings, right? Because it was a very small company, 8-10 people, and it was, oh my gosh, Darcy, did that customer come in today? And we're just sitting there talking, you know what we should do, right? And we're having the third beer, and it's like, oh my gosh, that's right. Okay, Heather, what are we doing there? You know, it wasn't so much, it was unwinding. It wasn't so much like partying. It was just having a few beers after work, and that's where kind of all the magic happened. They really were good meetings.
I guess for sure. Before we go to Heather, how was the vibe the same or different between all three locations that you worked at? Like, obviously it's Drexel, right? You know, but how was it the same? How was it different? Anything like that between Campbellsport, Brookfield at the time, and now Berlin?
I have to say they're very, they're similar. Berlin definitely is the right-headed stepchild for sure. Where there's a lot of veterans there, and I really, really do enjoy that. Like when I first went there 7 years ago, I was like, oh, I'm so nervous.
That's a gray-headed stepchild then. To be clear.
Is it we call it gray instead of red? I like that because it's an older crew there. I like that. Let's go that way. I like that. But when I first went there, I was very nervous just because of the relationships that I built with Gronk and with Kleisner and Luke and all the guys like down in Brookfield. We had a great going away party for me, by the way. That was good. It was like good.
There were some young dudes for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It
all
was a lot of fun.
Unmarried young dudes back then. Yeah.
It was very, very nice.
Shout out to those guys.
Yeah, for sure. And then coming into Berlin, I was a little nervous and scared. But wow, everyone was very welcoming, and now I would never think about not being there with them.
Sure. Cool. And then Heather, coming from healthcare, what was? I mean, obviously, right? You can just kind of say healthcare.
I mean,
right? Like, there's a lot there.
Obviously, day and night from what I do. I don't know if I ever saw myself doing what I'm doing, but I knew I could do anything that I put my heart to. So, culture, for sure. I mean, the way that we gather and the friendships that we have and how we all communicate is just day and night. And I mean, yes, you have friends and you have those friendships, but not like the ones that I have formed at Drexel. So I think just from healthcare to here, it's day and night.
You know, I think one of the greatest things that's happened in our culture just in the last 24 months is with all the development days that I go to, which is often twice a day, Marcus.
Yeah,
it's a tremendous amount of my time how often I go to our training and development days for our teams. And Brock says I hit up to about 500 people every month on development days. Our team used to be really on edge because I don't think they knew what Joel was going to do next, right? Or and a better way to say it, the company was going to do next. And then, as you said, the redheaded stepchild in Berlin or somebody in Kiel, rumors would kind of flare up of like, hey, I think we're doing this next, or what have you heard, or what do you know, or well, I heard this, but then nothing ever happened, and nobody ever followed up with me. What's going to happen there? And I think giving the vision every month of where the company's going, and we change so fast and we grow so fast, way faster than most companies, that we're able to keep up to speed with not everyone, but a lot of the team members on a monthly basis, where everyone just gets to grill Joel and saying this is where we're going. It seems like. You guys tell me again. I haven't been. I don't think I set foot in the Berlin store this year. So tell me, do you guys feel like it's less on edge than 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 10 years ago, or am I totally off base? I must be off base. You're all hesitating.
No, I don't think you're off base. I don't think people are on edge at all.
Either do I. I don't feel that way at all.
I don't
correct.
feel like that.
And that was a general thing, correct, Darcy?
Correct.
Especially when you started in 2012.
Yeah.
It was just a general sense of uneasiness, correct? Or am I wrong? Yes.
Nope, agreed.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, we do miss seeing your face.
Yes,
we actually talk about that pretty often. We're like, yeah, when's the last time Joel's been here? We don't even remember.
Yeah, and we should talk about that a little bit. It's a good sidebar. I struggle with that because I love seeing everybody at our stores. I love doing all the duties. I love walking the yards. I love saying hi. It's really fun. And I love seeing the stores. But I have to kind of almost humble myself because I enjoy that, I think, as much or more than anything. But I didn't make an impact. If I leave Campbellsport or my home at Kewaskum and drive to Berlin, and it's no big deal. It's 8 o'clock when I get there, and I stay till noon. And say hi to everybody and just engage, right? And everybody's like, oh, cool, that was cool, so cool, and nice that he stopped in or whatever. And then let's say on the way back, I even drive, which I've done before, like try to hit 2 in a day, right? So I'll stop at Kiel and do that for the afternoon. And then I drive home. I've done nothing. And I used to do that every single day. And not only I did nothing, sometimes I actually just made a negative impact because I'd stir the pot. I'd be like, why is your showroom? Why is your showroom like
No
this? Why is that happening? Why does Darcy sit there? Why do you guys have caulk guns? What's going on over here?
Agreed.
How long has that been that?
Yeah, you just
Can we
stay away
go
from
for
our
a-
store.
Can we just go for a walk? Right? But I didn't have the capacity to fix any of that. And I didn't have any of the backstory. And, why is JoHanna crying today? And why is Heather smiling? And that's ever happened, right? Sorry, she's sitting next to me. Why is John Lehman crying today? Shout out to John. That's more realistic, right?
More accurate.
And I would kind of tip my toe in it, and I thought I made a big impact, and everyone said, "Yeah, it's so good to see you today." But then I look back when I did that a lot, and I tried to get to every location once a week. I wasn't getting projects done. And if you think of all the projects that we got done through the merchants and the new products we have and the pricing, and a lot of this forward movement we've been having, which I think is very, very positive and successful in the development, even this podcast, if I still was just simply going store to store, I couldn't lead any of that. It was a good ego kick for me because it was like, oh, everybody, hi, you guys are all so amazing. And then, but I wasn't getting anything done. So I have to say, why am I going there? Is that the best use of my time?
Right.
And honestly, usually I get that done with a Google Meet. So it's kind of humbling. It's not always the best to just sit in my office and crank. I've had a lot of builders say, Joel, we really miss talking to you and seeing you on site. Because I did that as well. So I'd go to Berlin at 8, go to Green Lake at 11 o'clock for a tailgate tour. Weenie Wagon back in the day, right? Haley Mashuda. Shout out to Haley White. She'll always be Haley White to me, right? So shout out to her, and then I'd drive home, and that was really a Tuesday. But damn, I didn't get
Anything done.
Yeah.
I didn't even check my emails. Well, maybe I didn't. Maybe I did. When I got pulled over, when I pulled over in Berlin and opened my laptop. But I tried not to because I tried to be focused with the team when I was there.
Yeah.
So I didn't get really anything done. I sure didn't move the company forward, and that really is my job. And I can only do that when I actually grind. Right now I'm working on the exterior door brochure for DMD.
Nice.
That's what I kind of worked on a lot today. And if I'm driving around, I can't do that. I can't come to development days twice a day. So,
Right.
not that I needed to explain that, but I felt like it was just a good opportunity to explain it.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah.
I want to know from the three of you, as you guys have transitioned to obviously sales routes, right, doing different departments, coming into the company, who is somebody or multiple people that have been super helpful in that process, in Berlin specifically, that really have helped you along the way? Because I don't think, looking back at the podcast, we've had a few Berlin guests, but it's been kind of far and few between. So we don't necessarily maybe always get a shout out for Berlin. So who are people that have helped you guys as we've gone along here? So
I would definitely say Keith Streblinski and Aaron Sizer, although all of them do help, but those two I think I lean on the most. I tend to sit by them or be near them often. So
cool. In what way have they specifically? Is there a specific sales function or just
honestly,
flow of things?
anytime I'm struggling or just have a question, it is so great to roll off them. And that is one wonderful thing about Berlin is we do utilize each other so well, and those guys are the ones right there. So it's usually just question on what I should do or how to do it.
Sure.
That's cool.
Yeah. I would have to say any team member that's actually at the store, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't have to just be certain guys or Heather or anything like that. Who's ever there, I'm like, I want to just work on their brain and see if they can help me out to figure this out. And they do.
That's cool. That's cool.
I actually have to agree with you, too. I can't think of one specific person because I think if you ask anybody for help, somebody is always willing, regardless of who it is and what the role is.
I'm gonna flip this for a second.
Okay.
Maybe this won't work. Maybe it will.
gosh.
This is like the Berlin location pod, right?
Yep.
It is.
So, what do you guys not know about the history of Berlin? Like, what things have you heard, or what do you want me to tell anything about? Any details you've ever not heard or heard?
Well, I know Rob was
Borbor?
part of the purchase of the Berlin
Yeah, he's the
store.
legacy. Shout out to Rob
with,
Dean. Yeah. He came with, and then we always called him Borbor, which is
really?
Rob backwards twice. Borbor.
I did. Did you
really?
know that? I did not know.
Wow.
Yeah. So
know that?
shout out to Borbor.
Yeah.
I was
Shout out
gonna
to
say, we're gonna
Billboard.
have
Nice.
to,
You might have a new
bring
nickname
this
when we
nickname
go back.
Yeah.
And I was up there. I would
Love
be up
it.
there at least once a week for a long time. So for sure. Yeah, good times with Borbor. So, we bought that in 1999, drove out there. My dad and I've never been to Berlin. It was my dad. We drove out to Berlin, and we drove out west because it's 4 miles out of town. It was called 4 Mile Lumber, 4 miles out of town. So we drove out of town, and we drove so far, we're like, well, it can't be this far out. So we drove back into town, thinking we missed it. So we drove back out, and we're like, oh, this is it? And it was very, very modest. But they had 40 acres across the street, which was hunting land. And then so we bought the hunting land with it and then the lumberyard, and we were just going to bring the inventory back and shut it down. It was very, very modest. So this is how modest it was. Like, I would show up there the first couple of months. Well, they would cut wood in the winter, and that's how they would heat the facility, with a wood stove.
No way.
I remember one day I showed up, and I tried to get there when they opened. Like, I was crazy, worked a million hours then, right? So I'd get there at 6 a.m., leave home at 4:45 or whatever, and they also would have like a bag of like coffee cans, empty coffee cans, like in garbage bags sitting out. I'm like, what are these about? They're like, oh, people drop them off. We have sand in the back, and then we fill up the sand with the coffee cans because they don't always need a full bag, and they just buy a coffee can.
What do they do with a coffee can of sand?
I don't know, and I don't know why we sold them. I was like, okay, that's...
Was it for ice?
I was like, okay, and it was only our
Snow?
second... It was really only our second location, right? So we didn't have any culture. We had no mission statement. We didn't know anything about anything. And I was like, but like maybe common sense was like, well, we're not doing that anymore. So like, we closed down. We just don't sell stair stairs, stair ladders.
Yeah.
We just shut that down a month ago.
Right.
And like that doesn't bother me because I've shut down so many things. Like
Coffee can
sand.
of sand.
Like, nope, that didn't make any logical sense.
I did not know that, so thank you for that.
There's one fun nugget I can give you.
It would be cool as kind of a wall of the things that we used to do at one time. And just
The product lines that we've not carried anymore. Yeah. Fixing windows and screens was a huge thing for our company. Fixing Paslode guns.
Remember cutting
sand,
keys too.
Cutting keys.
I didn't even know we did that.
I didn't either.
So in Campbellsboro we sold paint and mixed paint and stain, and then we never took that to Berlin. So I worked here, really my whole life, and I worked here when I was in grade school and high school, and it was never really that exciting to me, and I was never that really into it. And as I've told you, I'm not really that handy. So I would have some old lady would come in. Sorry, old ladies. Shout out to them. And they'd come in with like a pillow, and I'd be like, oh my God. And you'd pick out paint, and they'd be like, okay. Or my dad would pick it out with them, which is really hilarious looking back at that. Fun fact. And then they'd come in for 2 gallons, right? And they'd be like, Joel, go mix up the 2 gallons. So you'd open up this crank handle and then put the paint in and then close the crank handle, and it would mix it, right? Like violently mix it for like 60 seconds. But you got to like really crank on it. That's why sometimes your paint cans are dented, because you crank on it. So I would do that, but I would do it mindlessly. And it maybe only happened 2 or 3 times. Sometimes I would open it up the wrong way so it was wide open, not closed. And I would turn it on, and from the tip of my nose to the ground, the entire gallon would be on me. And you're like stuck in the back. So like, what do you do? Like, nobody had cell phones.
Is this the color you want?
Nobody had there's no way to. The only way to go out there was go out to the old lady and my dad and being like, "What's up?" It's gonna be a bit, And I'm like 12, and then I get my butt chewed because that's a $20 paint again. Yeah. And then I'll just tell you a little bit more paint stuff. Like, so then you'd have to like squirt in the different pigments, right? I don't know if you ever saw that. Yeah. 4A. So to make the magenta, it would be 4 A's, 6 B's, 7 C's. So you'd be putting your little squirts in, and all of a sudden it would go. And it'd be the 3rd gallon, right? So the 2 gallons are done, and the 3rd gallon would be like, okay, well that shit ain't gonna be magenta. I don't know how many squirts I got, but it's out. So then I'd be like, so what you want to do is kind of like mix the gallons together to get the right color, which is what you want to do anyway, because that does happen. So you always want to mix your gallons together to make sure you have the right tints. Yeah. I'm sure they do it way better now, but holy shit, that was bad, really bad. So that was a little bit fun nuggets. We also did, this time of year we were slow, so we would do mini storage sheds. So we'd pre-build mini storage sheds like the ones up by you guys. Okay. And we'd probably build 10 to 20 ahead of time. We build them all winter. And then we did custom ones sometimes in the summer. So we'd go to a job site and actually like build them. We did picnic tables. We did, and we would actually bring them to locations. We might even took those to Kiel, and we'd build maybe 100. We sold a shit ton of picnic tables.
Did you do garage doors?
Did garage doors, the garage door openers. The reason we don't do garage door openers, the reason we don't use electric parts, is I learned how to swear when my dad would fix garage door openers. Exaggerating, but not really. Because the garage door openers would always like break on a Sunday or something, and then you couldn't get out your car, so my dad would have to go out to these sites. So we did not stay in the garage door opener business very long. That was brutal. And yes, garage doors for sure. We sold insulation in the fact of to the builder, so for homes, as well as drywall, full house drywall to the builders. Oh. This is a fun story about way back when. I didn't know this was going to go this way, but now we got to wrap up with we got to go next to the thing so I can get on my 4:15. I'm wrapping up already. I'd be sitting at home, like 11 and 12 years old. My dad would call me on the ring phone, They'd be like, hey, we're picking you up. I'd have to be in the ditch. They'd pick me up, and then I'd shove the drywall off to 2 guys that would haul the drywall into the house. But it was easier than them jumping up and shoving it off, so I'd just sit there, 95 degrees out, and then they'd come on and I'd shove a sheet off. And then I'd complain, and then the 2 guys would be like, dude, what are you doing? This is nothing, right? So whatever.
Right.
All right, cool.
Yeah, jump on yours and I can finish up with the Billboard too.
Yeah, sounds good. Keep going until it rings. It'll be fine.
Yeah, so Billboard, we always finish up with you have one question. It's on Highway 41 or whatever busiest highway you want to say that everybody can see. What's something, what could be one word, could be a sentence, something that means to you, your family, work life, whatever it is. Start with the veteran.
Really? Nice. So I've been chit-chatting about this for about a week, thanks to Heather. So here is my Venmo. Please send help. My son is getting married, and I have 2 granddaughters that love to go shopping.
And a little QR code.
Yes.
All right, I like that.
That's where my life is right now,
Okay.
Joel, just so
Okay.
you know.
I like it.
It's been
I like
different
it.
than what we've had for most of
That's good. You went,
Yep.
Thank you.
Might take the Oyvind Award of being the different.
It
unique
might.
one.
It
Yeah.
might. Yes. Joanna.
I'm just gonna kind of go off of the growth aspect. Just never stop growing. That was actually part of my interview with Craig, and like I said, it's just like the general overall like feel I get here. So I think it kind of is a good.
So just growth?
Yeah,
It's kind of your
growth. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Nice.
It's true.
Sweet. Heather.
Mine would be, if everybody in this world would do this, I think we would all be a happier place. So it's faith over fear, and then just believe.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So when when people have babies here, we send them a care package. Shock if you don't know that, you're gonna have a baby, so to surprise you, but you're gonna get a care package from Drexel, and we always send them a book called Mikey the Dragons. Do you know that book?
I don't know that.
Right, that's by Jocko Willink, and it's a kid's book. And the overriding theme is faith over fear. So I always write him a handwritten note on the inside of the cover, wishing the kid well and whatever. And I always sign it faith over fear, Joel.
Love
and
that.
the entire book is faith over fear. So the book is Mikey the Dragons, and it's he's a little kid, and his dad was a king, and he dies, and they have the dragons in this kingdom. And his dad always said, "Don't be scared of the dragons. No big deal." And so all the citizens of the kingdom are just peasants are just freaking out because of these dragons. The illusion of dragons, so they never leave their city. So Mikey goes out to attack the dragons because he had faith in his dad, right, and he had faith in himself. And he went out, and the dragons did nothing to be. They were no bigger than a puppy, right? So it was like faith over fear.
I love that.
Right? So it was really. So we give that to every single baby that's born here at Drexel. They always get Mikey the Dragon. So when you leave, we'll get you a book, Mikey the Dragons. I got my call.
Awesome.
Hey, peace
Thank
out.
you.
117. Thank you guys. We're out.
118. 118.
118. Peace. Love